morning, dear viewers, dear students, teachers, and everyone that is watching. My name is Nyakundi, and I am here today to take you through English and specifically essay writing. Now, writing is one of the key components of language. In language, there are basically 4 skills, which are listening, speaking, and writing is one of them, a very key skill. And today's lesson is tailored for the junior secondary students, specifically grade 7. But the lesson applies to students in the other grades as well, even in the senior secondary, because writing is a skill you need for you to prosper in your English paper 1, which is functional writing skills. So today I'm going to take you not through writing the whole essay, but really on writing and drafting a paragraph. So I have titled my lesson today as drafting a paragraph. And I know in grade 7, most of you have learned about paragraphing, and maybe your teacher has taught you a few things here and there about paragraphing. They are all right. Today I'm going to guide you on the semantics, on the grammar part of it, and I'm not going to dwell on the style. As much as style is key and important in writing, I'm going to take you through how to structure a nice paragraph, because a paragraph is a part of a composition or a piece of writing. So a paragraph is a unit of thought. A unit of thought brings or explains an idea or a main idea. Only one idea, dear students. The most mistakes students make is they want to combine 2 or more ideas in one paragraph, which is wrong. A paragraph is part of the whole composition, and that part only should express fully, to the satisfaction of the reader, one thought or idea. So paragraphs or paragraphs have 3 main parts, or are written in 3 main ways. 1, a good paragraph is unified. And I'm going to come to the explanation of each of these. A good paragraph is unified. Then second, we are going to talk about coherence, because a good paragraph is coherent. And third, a good paragraph is well developed. Well developed. So I'm going to start with unified. To explain what unity means in writing a paragraph or in writing an essay, unit is where your idea or your ideas in the sentences relate to the main idea. So you write a paragraph with 3 main parts. 1, your paragraph has a topic sentence. After the topic sentence, it has supporting sentences, and then it has the conclusion. So in the topic sentence, you express the idea of that paragraph, and then in the supporting sentences, you relate those ideas to the topic sentence, and in conclusion, you restate the topic sentence in another way, but to create emphasis and also to relate to the main idea of that paragraph so that you don't deviate. So unity is therefore relating to the main idea. And how then do you construct a unified paragraph? So unified paragraphs. And the first step to drafting unified paragraphs is when you help to develop the main idea by stating it in the topic sentence. So the first thing is state the topic sentence. And I'm going to give examples of what a topic sentence is like. So in this example, for instance, and I want you to listen to this paragraph that I'm going to read. There are 2 flying squirrel species in North America, and their ranges overlap slightly. That is the first sentence in a paragraph. It says there are 2 flying squirrel species in North America, and their ranges overlap slightly. Immediately I say that sentence, you realize that I'm talking about 2 species of flying squirrels in North America. So all the other sentences I'm going to write in that paragraph are going to relate to that main idea. If it continues, it says, the northern species is found throughout Canada, Alaska, and the northern states. In mountains of the east and west, the species extends its range further south, but is restricted to the higher altitudes. So now the sentences are building up on the main idea, which I started by stating that there are 2 main flying species of squirrels in North of America. You don't expect anything else in the other subsequent sentences, because the subsequent sentences are only supposed to help you to develop the main idea, which is well stated in the topic sentence. So after you've done that, dear students, then now your main idea, your topic sentence, sorry, which states the main idea, must be supported. So support the main idea. And how do you support? You do this in the subsequent sentences, which build now the topic sentence. And then at the end of your paragraph, you restate the main idea close to the end of your paragraph. Close to the end of your paragraph. Restate the main idea close to the end of your paragraph. If I read the conclusion of this paragraph that I was reading for you, at the end it says, the southern flying squirrel inhabits the forests of the eastern states and southern Ontario, and a few isolated populations have also been found in Mexico and Central America. Fortunately for me, both species occur in Michigan. So this is a child writing a story, and the story is titled The Little Squirrel That Flies. It's actually a story written by Nancy Wells Gosling. So at the end, it says that, fortunately for me, both species occur in Michigan, where this child stays. So has gone back to talking about the 2 species again, which he or she started when writing the topic sentence of that paragraph. And that creates unity in your writing. So unified paragraphs are very key because they help you then to remain to the main idea of the paragraph. And I'm going to move to the next key component of a well-drafted paragraph, which is coherence. So let me write here coherence or coherent paragraphs. Coherent paragraphs. And dear students, coherence is how easily the ideas flow or progress from one sentence to another. How easily the ideas progress from sentence to sentence. That is coherence. So how do you build coherence in a paragraph? And one of the ways of developing coherence in a paragraph is using a chronological order. Using a chronological order when stating the sequence of activities that happened in that happens in your story or in your piece of writing. Chronological order simply means that you start with first things first. I want to give an example, and I'm drawing my example from a book written by Ngugi wa Thiong'o called The River Between. And the first paragraph of that book starts by saying that the two ridges lay side by side. Listen to the topic sentence there. Two ridges lay side by side. One was Kameno and the other was Makuyu. Between them was a valley. It was called the Valley of Life. Now, listen to this, dear students. With this, Ngugi has started by telling us about two ridges that exist side by side. Then he goes further and tells us the names of the ridges. After telling us the names of the ridges, he tells us that in between the ridges is a valley. And he tells us that the valley is called the Valley of Life. That is chronological order. That he cannot proceed to tell us the names of the ridges before mentioning that they are ridges. Then he cannot tell us about the valley that is in between the ridges before introducing the ridges and even telling us their names. So that is what we basically call chronological order. You are writing a composition or an essay about a trip to Mombasa or a trip to anywhere. So in a chronological manner, then you start by explaining how you start the trip, probably how you prepare for it, probably how you look forward to it. So you don't jump and tell us what happens in Mombasa before you've mentioned something about the way. Along the way, which means of transport did you use? What time of the day was it when you started your journey? And what time of the day was it, or the night was it when you arrived at your destination? That is chronological order. It brings coherence because I started by telling you that coherence is how ideas progress from sentence to sentence. And I've given you an example. The two ridges lay side by side. About ridges, then Kameno, Makuyu. Then in between them is a valley. And the valley is given a name. It's called the Valley of Life. In a very coherent, very good progression, which we call a seamless progression. So you don't break the ideas. You progress one idea to the next. Then another way of creating coherence is arrange ideas from general to specific. Arrange your ideas in a paragraph from general to specific. And this is what I mean. You start with the general information, then you go to the detail. You start with the general, then you go to the detail. And I want to read an example here about a story. And this is the story. This is a paragraph I've picked from a story called Two Kinds. The paragraph starts by saying, "It was not the only disappointment my mother felt in me. In the years that followed, I failed her so many times, each time asserting my own will, my right to fall short of expectations. I didn't get straight A's. I didn't become class president. I didn't get into university. I dropped out of college." So this writer, and the story is about a young girl called Jingmi, and Jingmi is writing about how she disappointed her mother, who wanted her to be a prodigy or a genius, who expected that once they move from China to America, everything is going to be very smooth, and Jingmi could become anything she wanted to be. But then she disappoints. And in these paragraphs, in this paragraph specific one, she starts by stating that she disappointed her mother, and that was not the only disappointment. That is a general statement. Then she moves to the specific details to say how she disappointed her mother. She didn't get straight A's. She didn't get into Stanford. She dropped out of college. Those are the specific details. So arrange your ideas from general to specific if you want to create coherent paragraphs. And the third is well developed. So development of a paragraph. And I'm going to inform you that development is really created by how well each sentence in that paragraph relates to the main idea. How well each sentence in the paragraph relates to the main idea. Then still, in development, you need to supply enough information that is within the context to the satisfaction of the reader. You need to supply enough information within the context to satisfy the reader. An example in a paragraph. Listen to this example. A TV set stood close to a wall in the small living room, crowded with an assortment of chairs and tables. An aquarium crowded the mantelpiece of a fake fireplace. A lighted bulb inside the tank showed many colored fish swimming about in a haze of fish food. Some of it was scattered on the edge of the shelf. The carpet underneath was sodden black. Old magazines and tabloids lay just about everywhere. That kind of a paragraph, all the sentences are relating to the main idea, which is description of a setting in a story. So the writer is trying to describe how the living room looked like, and is doing so sentence by sentence, revealing and also creating an imagination and a mental picture to the reader on how the living room that described in the story actually looked like. And then look how this writer is very keen to the detail. He goes ahead to describe even the aquarium, that, and not just the aquarium, but it is crowding, according to the opinion of the writer, the mantelpiece of a fake fireplace. Even the word fake there is still further giving you the tiny detail to your satisfaction. Then he goes ahead and talks about a lighted bulb inside the tank. And this bulb makes you see the fish to be colored, and then describes what the fish inside the aquarium are doing. They are in a haze for food, and even goes further ahead to tell you where that food is. Some of it is spread on the shelves. A very keen description. That is development. Good development of a paragraph, therefore, has two sides. One, all sentences relate well to the main idea. All sentences relate well to the main idea. And the second, enough description to the reader's satisfaction. To the reader's satisfaction. So, two key details there. One, all sentences relate well to the main idea. Then enough description to the reader's satisfaction. So if you do that, then you will be able to develop a well sentence. On enough description, I have given you an example. And I could like also to give you an example on all sentences relating well to the main idea. Remember the paragraph that I told you back about from the book, or an excerpt from the book The River Between by Ngugi wa Thiong'o, and the paragraph was talking about two ridges. If I continue there, in that same paragraph, you will see how all sentences relate to the main idea. And it says that behind Kameno and Makuyu, now those two ridges, were many more valleys and ridges, lying without any discernible plan. They were like many sleeping lions which never woke. They just slept, the big deep sleep of their creator. So still, every sentence is relating to the two ridges that were first introduced in the topic sentence. Then you may be wondering, how long should a paragraph be? And my answer is that a paragraph can be as short as one sentence and can be as long as maybe 100 words. Let's put the average to be about 100 words. Short paragraphs, sometimes not, if you want a very short paragraph, then it should be a one-sentence paragraph. What one-sentence paragraphs do is that they emphasize the point, so that the idea or that point is separated from the rest of the paragraphs. It creates emphasis. But then you can also write long paragraphs, as long as you've covered all the details. A paragraph doesn't have a defined length. The problem, however, and I know maybe your teachers have told you to avoid very long paragraphs, it's for a good reason. The problem with writing very long paragraphs is that you will find yourself having exhausted the idea you wanted to write about in that, or the thought in that one paragraph. So you pick on another idea or another thought and start writing it in the same paragraph, which is now an error. And that is why you should stick to an average of 100 words. And I'm sure your teachers in school have guided you on how to write or how to come up with a certain number of words. In grade 7, for instance, I know that right now you are expected to write essays of up to 500 words. And you know how to count those words. Basically, how to count them is a sentence has an average of 6 words. So when a teacher gives you an essay to write, the teacher will not go counting word by word, but they can count how many sentences are in your paragraphs. And really, they don't need to count all the paragraphs. They can pick a paragraph from the first paragraph, from a paragraph from the middle of your essay, and the concluding paragraph, and then find an average of the number of sentences in your paragraphs, and then count how many paragraphs you've written. So in that easy formula, they'll be able to find out whether you are approaching 500 words or you have exceeded 500 words, or you are below your essay is below and doesn't meet the threshold for 500 words. And therefore, your sentence should also meet the threshold for 6 words at least. I know some students want to escape this by writing very big letters so that it can be seen that they have written a lot. That cannot work, because if your sentence, if the words in your sentence are counted, they will not meet the threshold of an average of 6. So another way of development or developing a good paragraph is use examples. Use examples in your description. Use examples in your description. And before I continue that, I want to remind you that you can actually send your comments and questions on the numbers which are on our screens, and I'll be glad to answer them shortly as I head to the conclusion of my lesson this morning. So, using examples in your description. The paragraph that I just read to you, that the ridges were like many sleeping lions. It is an example, but it's actually a metaphor. So, metaphor is still an example. The writer wants the reader to relate well on how those 2 ridges look like, and wants to create a mental picture on the 2 ridges by use of metaphor. That they were like many sleeping lions lying without any discernible plan. They were the sleeping like the sleeping lions which never walk. It's a metaphor. They just slept. The big deep sleep of their creator. So an example there to spice up the paragraph. So in your description, you should know how to use metaphor, but then I'll find some time and deal with style in writing. Today, I only wanted to focus on the drafting and on the constructing of a good paragraph. Now, dear students, I want to write an example of a topic sentence on the board, and I expect that you complete this topic sentence with a complete paragraph at home. And then you can always send it through the number on your screen, and I'll receive it. And this is the topic sentence I want to give you. Now pick your writing material and write. Usually a paragraph is indented. The indented means you skip some space from the margin. The reason you do that is to show that you have now started writing a new idea. So don't write 2-3 ideas in 2-3 paragraphs. Sorry, don't write one idea spanning over 2-3 paragraphs. So one idea should end with one paragraph. However, in some high-level writing, and this is not now for you as a junior secondary student, like authors, they can write one idea for even several pages, several paragraphs, and it's allowed. But for the sake of academic writing, which you are doing in school, for the sake of that, you are allowed to write one complete thought in one paragraph. So you indent to show that a new idea is starting. So the topic sentence is a dog, and I hope you are writing this, is the best. A dog is the best friend, assuming the margin was here. So I indented the start of that paragraph, is the best friend. A dog is the best friend a person can have. Then some ellipses there to show that you are supposed to complete. A dog is the best friend a person can have. That is a topic sentence which you can use to write a paragraph. In this paragraph, I therefore expect that you remain to the main idea, which is talking about a dog as man's best friend. So you will not come in this sentence and also introduce another pet animal like a cat in the same sentence, for instance, and say a dog is the best friend of a man, or a dog is the best friend a person can have. But cats are the cutest animals humans can keep for pets. That is not allowed. This topic sentence dictates what your subsequent sentences will be. And then I'll expect that in your concluding sentence, I see this: a dog is the best friend a person can have. Don't repeat this sentence, but then relate it or conclude with affirming this sentence, the topic sentence, that a dog is the best friend a person can have. That is choice one. If you don't want to write about that, then I have another one for you. And it is, there are three different kinds of friends. So we indent, there are three different types of friends. There are three different types of friends who will help you out in an emergency. Who will help you out in an emergency. Ellipsis. There are three different types of friends who will help you out in an emergency. That paragraph should talk about the three different types of friends who can help one out in an emergency. And these three different types of friends must be brought out clearly and described, even using examples, in that same paragraph. Don't move to another paragraph, then you conclude again by going back and affirming that actually the types of friends that can help you out in an emergency are only 3. Maybe you can state them at the conclusion of your paragraph. And that, boys and girls, brings me to the end of my lesson this morning. I want to check and see if there are any questions. So I will so there is feedback here from our viewers, and I want to read them out. Fendoman says a great lesson. Lauren Kanjejo says an informative content right there. Amazing work. Thank you so much. Jilo Mamu says great insights, Teacher Caleb. I am learning a lot. Thank you for this lesson. Thank you as well for watching. And there is also Krish says, thank you, Mr. Caleb. You taught me conjunctions. That's my previous lesson I did. And I believe I am going to do another lesson. And in the next lesson, I'm going to teach you now how to write the whole composition. Now that you know how to draft paragraphs in 3 ways: unified, coherent, and well-developed. In the next lesson, I'm going to take you through how to write the whole essay or the whole composition. It's my pleasure to be with you today. Thank you so much for watching. My name again is Mr. Caleb Nyakundi, and I am a teacher of English at Shamrock International School in Nairobi, Karen. Thank you and have a great day ahead.